Hey Rebels. Okay, so I'm coming to you fresh off the basketball court. I was just playing basketball with my kids. We just did a little practice. And I'm also coming down with a cold. So this is all just going to be a beautiful hot mess for you today. But this topic is incredibly important and I want to get it to you. And there's no way I was putting this off because you need to know this information. Dominating energetically is everything to an empath and is actually the thing that made me want to do this for this theme this month. So I'm going to start by telling you a quick little story about how, I'm going to tell you a couple stories actually, but I'm going to start with one. It was how I chose to do this theme, specifically what happened, because it's funny and I'll make you understand something. Okay. So I was in yoga class and we're doing our yoga and we're getting to the end to do Shavasana. And she does Reiki to everybody at the end during Shavasana as you're laying there. She gives you a nice dose of Reiki at the end of her yoga classes. So I'm chilling, and so as I start my Shavasana, like I do quite frequently, especially if I'm meditating with a group of people, I need to have like a focus on what I'm meditating on. Otherwise, I'll just start picking up stuff about the person next to me. So I say to my angels as I'm in Shavasana, I'm like, what should I do for Rebels theme next month? And I didn't even finish the thought when my mother starts coughing. I hear her go like, and then she starts coughing so bad that she cannot control herself and has to go out of the room. So I quickly check in with the angels. I'm like, she okay? And I can see that the angels actually triggered her to start coughing because her energy field was way too open, and the person she went to give Reiki to, she did it at her feet and it started. She didn't heed the warning. And when she ran around to go to the head, angels were like, nope, you're coming in hot. You can't go in energetically that open. And they actually stopped her from touching this woman. Now, why does that happen? Does this mean this woman has terrible toxic energy? No, she didn't have good energy though. I felt it when I walked in the door and just instantly protected myself from it because I was already dominating energetically. So I'm going to explain that in a minute, but I just thought it was like so perfect that I was like, oh, I guess I know what I'm going to teach in Rebels this month, how to protect your energy field better, because my own mother absolutely stinks at it. So there you go. You can thank Lynn for this if this has been helpful to you. So dominating energetically, hey Amanda, dominating energetically is how you enter into any sort of space. And you want to enter in as the dominant energy, the one in charge. Now, the way I learned how to do this actually came from childhood. So there's all different kinds of empaths. You might not necessarily see dead people or see angels. You might just be more like emotionally sensitive, or you might just be like a little bit more intuitive in a different way. So just because this isn't going to be your story doesn't mean that you aren't super intuitive too. But when I was a kid, I was incredibly open channel because I didn't know not to be. And I went through this time when I could not be upstairs in my house going to bed by myself. So I would make my mom or my dad come upstairs with me. And I especially liked it when my father did, because my father, when he was anywhere near me, or especially even on the same floor, so his bedroom was like across from mine, if he was upstairs while I was upstairs, all the spirits and the angel energy and everything would actually back away. They would be as if they were waiting for his cue on what to do. Now, if you have children who are empathic or energy sensitive themselves, and they don't like to be by themselves on a different floor, especially, or too far from you when they try to go to bed, this very well could be something that's happening to them. I know I didn't really have the verbiage to explain what was going on and what I was experiencing, because most of us, when we're kids, don't realize that we're more open than everybody else. We don't realize that this isn't happening to everyone. It's like this slow wake up where you're like, oh, I think I'm way more dialed in than everybody. So if you have a child who's doing this, pay attention. It could be because when you go and you settle into like sleep and you don't close down your energy field and dominate, the spirits and everything want to come right up in your grill. All right, all kinds of energy is there, and you're more open to it and you're more susceptible to being affected by it. So I would notice that when my dad was upstairs with me, they were like acting as if they were his employees. Like, what do you need? And my dad, It's like a pretty masculine guy, big guy. His name is even Michael. He's got very protective energy. And so I would notice that. And it was getting to the point where I was kind of embarrassed. I think I was like 10 or 11, that I needed this, because like, you know, when you're like, what is wrong with me? I am not a little baby, right? Like, why am I still needing this? And so I really wanted to get over it. I really didn't want to have to ask one of my parents to be upstairs with me. So I started to emulate my father's energy. So I would do what he was doing energetically, or at least what I would perceive. So as I would lay there, I would picture myself mimicking him, and I would mimic his body language, because your body language gives off a massive amount of energy. So I would mimic his body language, and I would like just pretend I was him for a minute. And I noticed that this had the exact effect that I wanted. Everything would back up. And I would act like I wasn't afraid, like I was in charge of all those spirits, and they could just back off. And as soon as I did that, that's exactly what happened. And so now over the years, for going from just mimicking my dad's energy of like just dominance, I started to make my energy that way, in my own way. So I don't still copy his energy. I do it my way, which is a little bit different. It's a lot more feminine of an energetic response, and it dominates in a different way. So you can find someone, when you're first starting this, find someone that you can think of that has a real dominant energy, and mimic that until you feel like you can start to do it yourself. But this isn't just for like spirits and angels and things affecting you. This is for other people as well. So if I'm in a crowd, I use the same tactic of dominating energetically in my personal space. This is my area. I'm in charge. You stay over there with your energy, good, bad, or otherwise. And energy responds to that. Okay. Now I naturally have kind of a loud sort of leadership sort of energy to me already. So it doesn't take a ton of work for me to get there. But even if you don't, even if you have much more of like a reserved energy, you can very easily make a shift. You can find your own way to do that. Because think about this. You're in charge of your energy field. It's yours, right? Your energy body is outside of you, and you are completely in charge of it. What comes in and touches it or doesn't, what hangs around and what doesn't, you are in charge of that. But if you don't take charge of that, your energy field is going to start to get into this kind of weakened state, which makes you a lot more affected by other people's energy, by spirit energy, by angel energy, by energy of objects, energy of somebody who was there like 20 minutes before, they're not even there now, it's still affecting you, right? So just because you maybe aren't naturally like super authoritative doesn't mean you can't do this. The other cool thing is that you can fake it at first and it will still work, because even faking will give off that energy. So being the dominant one in every room is important. Here's why empaths tend to struggle with this, because we believe that our gifts are made for us to use to help other people, which is 100% true, but it's not at the expense of you. You're more sensitive because you are more able to process more energy, not because you're weak or I don't know. I've heard a lot of people's weird reasons why they think they're more sensitive. It's not a weakness, it's a strength. So because you're able to process and understand and sort of read energy at a higher level than people who are not empathic, we'll call them the muggles of the world, right? You are more sensitive to it. And because part of your job as an empath is to somehow help other people, you need to be able to be in charge energetically, all right? And it's actually something that's very natural for empaths to do, to take back that dominant energy, take back that charge. And it's one of your lessons in this month's assignment. So make sure you go in and you do that, because you'll see some great tips. Now, a lot of empaths give this away right at the start. They immediately martyr their energy to lift everybody else up. And those are the empaths that walk around unable to be in crowds and with massive headaches and stomach aches all the time. Okay. Now I will be 100% honest with you. I get those energy headaches sometimes because it's just a lot of energy to process, but there are certain things that you can do to keep yourself feeling a little bit better, right? Like you can make sure you're dominating energetically. And then that won't happen so often or as easily. So for me, I can be in a huge crowd of people. I can sit in a group of like 10,000 people and hang out and be okay. But I know after a certain amount of time, if I don't heed the warnings my body's given me to like separate, to go away, to do something grounding, like eat something, drink some water, if I don't do that, then I'm going to get the headache. Make sense? So you want to make sure that you're protecting, but it's not just like, well, fine, I can do this forever then. You still have to be in tune and listen to your own body. Make sense? So you want to walk into every room like the dominant energy, and don't give that away, because your energy actually influences a room more than Muggle energy does. So if you're not in charge of it, you're going to actually make everybody feel defensive in a room. So if you study energy, if somebody walks in feeling nervous or feeling like, almost like, you know that feeling when someone walks into a room and it's almost like they apologize for their energy before it even happens, like before it even hits you? If that's the kind of energy you come in with, it's sort of like seeing this real strong person really unsure about how to use their gifts. And so one of the examples I love to give is Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer. And if you have ever watched his show or read his book, he has a couple of shows, I think. First of all, he's adorable. And second of all, he does this really, really well. So Cesar, I don't know if you've ever seen him. So he helps these like problem dogs. He really helps their owners, but he helps these problem dogs who are just like not doing well. They're like biting people and they're running around and they're a menace to society. He comes in and kind of fixes the situation. And so they show these clips of these dogs going absolutely nuts and just not behaving, and these owners trying everything they can to, you know, keep control of this dog. And Cesar Millan just walks up to the dog and the dog like sits. And everyone's like, what is this magic? And it's exactly what he teaches the owners. He's dominating energetically. Because with these dogs, for example, and people are not that different, with these dogs, if they don't have a leader, if they're not like, oh, that's the leader, this human has more power and more freedom than me, and they're not being a leader, so now I feel afraid. And that fearful energy makes them act out and makes them go all crazy, right? Because they don't think somebody's got me. Kids do this as well. I see this constantly with kids where they don't feel like their parents are going to back them up or make the hard decision or do what's, you know, needed in the situation. If they don't feel like that way, they're going to act out as well, because the kids want to feel like their parents, at least one of them anyways, is the leader. They're in charge. They will, you know, keep them in line, but will also keep their environment safe. And if they don't fully feel that way, they don't feel a powerful energy from their parents, they will act out. And it's not because they're just trying to be little jerks, it's because they don't feel safe. All right, makes sense? Adult human beings are the same exact way. All right, so if a powerful energy walks into a room and that powerful energy is not grounded, is not in charge, is not like making you feel like, okay, this person's good, fine, I got this, then everyone in the room is going to immediately go into a defensive fear response. And they're not even going to do it consciously. Now, some of the empaths in the room are going to, but for the majority of people, they're not going to understand why they just went into like a fearful response. Okay, makes sense? So you want to come in, even if you got to fake it, like a confident leader, calm, cool, collected, confident. Walk in that way. Even if inside you don't exactly feel that way, act like you do, and your energy field will give that off. The super empathic people in the room will pick up that you're struggling with that and will probably have someone start to support you. But if you're not trying, if you're only giving off that hectic energy, they're going to move away from you. All right, so keep that in mind. When you dominate energetically in anything, you naturally make it easier for people to connect with you, and they actually feel safer around you. I notice a lot of people, I train people when they go into business situations, when they give pitches, or when they are going for a job interview or anything like that. And I train them to actually be dominant energetically when they go for those things. Because if you're not in that space, no one is going to have confidence in you. And if they do not have confidence in you, they're not going to respond well. You'll notice too that there are really two very distinct types of empaths with powerful energy. One is what a category that I would put myself in, and I think the majority of the rebels here are in as well, and that is that we just have very powerful, very dominant energy naturally. And if we're not paying attention to that, again, you're going to make everyone around you defensive and nervous, and they don't even consciously know why. So a lot of times, especially as a woman, if you have very powerful energy, you'll almost get like this like feeling that other women like don't like it, like back up. So you have to be very in charge of it. And if I'm getting that reaction from other people in the room, especially the other empaths, the who do you think you are? I know I'm not doing the leadership thing well enough. I'm not dominating in a good way. I'm dominating in a way that's threatening. I've created that fear response. So I'm going to be more, I'm going to turn it up more actually. I'm going to dominate more. Now, dominating is I'm dominating my energy field. I'm not dominating anybody else's energy field. I'm not taking your energy field over. You're going to feel my energy hit you. I can't help that. I've tried everything to shrink that shit down. It ain't happening. I'm not going to do it anymore. But it's going to hit you. But if you're in charge of your energy field, you're just going to feel it and you're going to move on. But if you're not, it's going to steamroll you, right? And I get that response. And you probably had that response in your life too. The other kind is that people automatically assume that you are shy and a wallflower or a snob, okay? I've gotten that before too. And that's again because you're not dominating energetically. You're not giving off the vibe that you're in charge of your own energy field. And if that's the case, people are gonna think that it almost feels cold. You're kind of too closed instead of being the leader. You're just trying to keep it to yourself. And so you wanna make some adjustments when you start to notice that reaction. The quickest way you can make an adjustment is with your body language, because your energy field, your energetic body responds to what your physical body is doing and vice versa. So if you're feeling like, oh, Candace just said she comes off as a snob. I used to get that a lot, Candace. I totally get it. It's just because you're not dominating, but people are really feeling your strong energy. Make sense? And it's just coming off like you're trying to close it. And that actually makes a cold energetic feeling, which that cold sense that people are picking up, they are associating with being a snob. But what you're probably doing is like, I'm going to hold back before I share my energy with you until I decide if you are safe to be around. But if you're dominating energetically, again, dominating your energy field, it's much easier to do that. So if you're coming off that way, if you're noticing people are having like the snob reaction to you, you are going to instantly lead with warmth. Okay, so you're just going to kind of go the other way. Use your body language that way. Expose your neck. I know that sounds really silly, but if you expose your neck to people, you just sort of tilt your head a little bit differently when someone's talking to you and they can see your neck. That body language will make them feel as if you're saying, I trust you. Okay, even if you don't, if you're like, who's this bitch? But you tilt your neck open, that person will respond energetically to your body language signal, and then they will relax, which will help you relax. Make sense? So there's all these little cues. If somebody is not believing that you are dominant, if you're having trouble getting that dominance up, right? Then you can do different things. You can stand in an actual Wonder Woman position. I stand that way all the time. People joke with me who know about body language that like I just rock the Wonder Woman. I do. I'm little. I'm only 5 feet, 5'0". So if I'm going to dominate a room full of lots of energy, and I'm just this one little person, I'm going to stand with my strong energy out when I need to, right? Makes sense? Now, so you can strike that pose and you'll notice people respond. The other thing you can do is use your hands, use a steeple, okay? Steeple your hands together and immediately people will sort of start to assume that you know what you're talking about. These are ancient body language things that you can learn to influence energetically as your energy field catches up. So you want to look for those things. And remember, you're not dominating over people. Some people will allow you to. They'll prefer it, which is what a leader does. They hold strong space for people. And if somebody's going to drop down for a minute, they got that, okay? And then if they come back up, they'll back off and just support you. But there's nothing wrong with being a leader. All empaths were born to be leaders of some kind. Now, that doesn't mean you're supposed to, lead a company. It might, but it doesn't mean that necessarily. But you are meant to be an energetic leader, okay? You'll notice that when you walk into a room, even if there's thousands of people and you look like I do currently, you look like a Hot Mess Express just watching, nothing special going on, but you walk in, you'll notice that people turn and look more when you walk in than when a muggle walks in the door. And it's not because you look fantastic, which if you do, high five, even more, you're going to have their attention. It's because your energy field is very powerful. It's designed that way so that you can lead with it. You can use it to help the people in the room, okay? So you want to be thinking about this, and you want to be dominating in every situation. Now, the situation with my mom that I told you about at the beginning of this, what was happening is that when she was giving Reiki, what she was doing is she was sucking everyone's energy actually physically into her body, altering it with her energy and putting it back out. My mom's been doing that since like I remember. She's always trying to take other people's energy, use her body as a way to fix it and give it back. And so because she was doing that, and she got near this woman who had not so good energy. And again, it doesn't mean they're a bad person. It's just something's going on in their energy field that's got some kind of toxicity in it. I think from what I could pick up, it seemed to me like she was on some kind of medication that was actually really altering her energy to be really far outside of herself. She was actually trying to dominate over people instead of just dominate her own energy field. When a leader walks into a room, they don't need to take you over. They just need to be in charge of themselves, and you'll notice that, right? So because this woman had that kind of energy, and my mother wasn't heeding the warning, she was trying to suck that into her body, her angels were like, how about no? And they actually gave her a coughing fit so that she would have to exit the room to get away from that energy. So you don't want to do that. You never want to take other people's energy into your physical body. Put it in your energy field, observe, not absorb, right? And put it right in front of you. I like to have it straight in front of my heart chakra. To me, that's the best point, because your heart chakra is the middle chakra, right? It's the one that processes stuff going in between. So I use that because I also need to feel. I need to understand what that feels like, and I try to love on everybody's energy. So I project from there, and I imagine sort of like a Care Bear, all the other chakras are hitting it, and I alter the energy and send it back. But remember, you're not changing somebody else's energy. You're giving them the opportunity to change their own energy. Any kind of energy work, that's the case. So by absorbing it into your body and taking in their crap and giving them back better, you're not doing it at all, actually. It's not going to last more than 2 minutes, because they're going to just put their toxicity back in, and their energy field's going to go back. I see this a lot with people who get energy work. They don't actually open up to what the work's doing and, do some of the stuff themselves, and it doesn't stick, and that's why. Okay, makes sense? So you never want to do that. What you want to do is dominate energetically. So when somebody around you, let's say you have somebody with like poop energy sitting next to you in a class or something, you don't have to just be closed off the whole time. You can actually alter that person's energy field for the better, or give them the opportunity to be altered for the better. So what you're going to do is you're going to simply send out your energy. So sense what they need. Okay, so this woman who had the toxic energy in the room, this woman, what she needed was grounding, because all of her energy was up here. So instead of taking her yucky energy, altering it, and giving it back, what you would do is read her energy out here, push it away, right? And then send grounding energy, because I can see by reading this that this is really not grounded. The best thing I can do is to ground this energy. So then I'm dominating, I'm sending my grounded energy, I ground myself, send my grounded energy out. And if she chooses to take it, her energy will improve. Now, the other thing you can do is alter the space around them. So if the energy around her is grounded, even if she doesn't want to be grounded, chances are her energy, her energetic body, the frequency is going to want to match that one, all right? Because even if her brain, her conscious mind isn't letting her, her subconscious will want it. So then she'll probably alter to that. And if she gives herself permission to stay there, she'll stay there. But you want to dominate to adjust, not martyr, not take in someone else's yucky. Instead, give them the opportunity to lift up theirs. If you understand anything about frequency, which if you do stuff like in Aspen's group and things, you sort of know, right, like about frequency and how that stuff works. Well, like attracts like. So if you're sending out this really great grounded frequency and someone is not grounded and they want to be, that eventually they'll find that and they'll start operating at that frequency instead. And you'll notice everything in the room change. But if you don't walk in with your like killer frequency and you don't dominate, your frequency will drop. as a result of everyone around you. But if you do dominate your energy field with your higher frequency, everybody else's will lift up to yours. And now, not only do you have a better experience, you helped everybody, but you didn't suffer. Make sense? So keep that stuff in mind. Imagine being the dominant energy. Watch like the Dog Whisperer show so you can like see how Cesar Millan does it and sort of copy that and understand that what you're doing by dominating is what great leaders do all the time. It makes people feel safe enough to open up and to heal and to become better in some way. So remember that. Remember, by dominating, that's what you're doing. All right. So go out and try that. Let me know how it goes. Let me know how you did with the assignment, and let's keep rocking it. All right. Have a great day, guys. Bye.